Thank you.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So, Mr. Memo, we can give you 37 next week. Wednesday. Yeah. So that's the 18th. That's when you go next. And since 2 weeks have already lapsed in the month, we're going to charge on the staff for the maintenance fee, a month, which would be around $8.
Hey, Essa. It's 9 o'clock, so I guess we should get started. Are you ready?
Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Can you take roll? We'll call this meeting to order. 9 o'clock.
I have Chair Don Mende, Vice Chair Gary Mackler, Rona Fukumoto, Sean Sakata,
Sasaki, Sean Sasaki.
and Carol Ryman, Lori Chang in attendance. Sorry about that.
And I think Kim is
Oh,
out.
and Kimberly Sparlin.
Okay. Thanks, Essa. So we have a quorum. So before we start, I just wanted to thank everyone for joining. So today's board meeting is going to be so it's we're going to try to conduct it pursuant to the governor's August 5th emergency proclamation. Under the proclamation, we are allowed to hold meetings remotely or virtually. We can provide the public with interactive, as long as we can provide the public with interactive conference technology or ICT. The alternative was to hold the meeting in person, but rather than do that at this time, staff is trying to set up the ICT so we can have a meeting done remotely. Hopefully it works smoothly and we get through it without any glitches. If you have to speak on if you want to speak on an agenda item, click the hand icon at the appropriate time. Also, to prevent any background noise, we ask that you please mute your microphones until you wish to speak. And then when you call to speak, please state your name and spell it for the record. And then you have 2 to 3 minutes to give oral testimony. Thanks. Oh, one more thing before we get started. Board members, are there any interested parties attending with you at your location right now?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay, thank you. Now, okay, we can move on to item 2, approval of the item 2A, approval of the annual minutes. Can I get a motion, please? Thanks, Ken. Can I get a second?
Second.
For discussion, is there any additions and or deletions for the minutes of the annual meeting? Hearing none, call for all approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you. Moving to item 2B. This is to approve the regular meeting minutes of July 8th, 2021. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Sam. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Gloria. Any discussion? Any additions or deletions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, moving on to item 3A. So this is to approve resolution number 159, authorizing the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Hale Makana o Mo'iliili project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 127 007 016 015. Can I get a motion?
Correction, please.
Second TNK is 051, at least according to the
Oh, I'm
paperwork
sorry,
that
my
was sent out.
mistake.
Just wait a minute.
I also amend the motion. Can I get a motion?
Move.
Thanks. Can I get a second?
Second,
Thanks, Gloria.
Aloha. Thank you very much. I appreciate your convening. Thank you for having me here. Chair, Vice Chair, distinguished members. It's my pleasure to present this project. Hale Makana Mo Ili. It will provide 105 units, including one manager's unit for elderly households earning 60% of the area median income and below. Previously, on December 12th of 2019, the Board of Directors did approve tax exempt issuance of up to 22 million of Hula May multifamily bonds, as well as 999,000 approximately in annual federal as well as state tax credits. This is in conjunction with a rental housing revolving fund loan of up to 13.6 million. The governor did approve this on February 16, 2020. On June 10th of 2021, we did come before you, and the project did request an increase in their amount of low-income housing tax credits. This is a 4%. In conjunction with the consolidated 4% new minimum level. The project is structured with Hula May multifamily bonds. It is a private placement with Bank of Hawaii. The project does expect the bond issuance to fund over 50%, allowing for maximization of the 4% low-income housing tax credit eligibility. As part of the bond process, we did hold a Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act hearing. This was done on March 25th of 2020. No testimony was provided. So the project obviously was well received. Documentation and the requisite due diligence are complete. Staff recommends adoption of resolution number 159, which authorizes the issuance, sale, delivery of Hula May multifamily bonds to support the construction of Haleo Makani O'Leary. Please note that Exhibit D, Section 11, the total fee should be revised to $2,298,465. And staff is available to answer any questions along with Mr. Collie Watson of the development team. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the board?
Chair, I have a question. I just wanted to check in and see if this project has building permits, and are they prepared to start their construction in September as shown in the for action?
Wonderful question. The development team, Mr. Watson, Chris Flaherty, they worked tirelessly with Department of Planning and Permitting, and in fact, we do have permits. So yes, we are on target.
I might also add that the project is already fenced in. We have our demo permits. Existing tenants have been relocated and we're ready to proceed. We should be able to mobilize once we close on August 31st within 10 days.
Great. Thank you.
Awesome. That's great news.
Thank you. It was hard work.
Glad that you're here. All right. Any other questions? If not, all in favor?
Excuse me.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I was wondering if we could do that amendment on paragraph 11.
Oh. Oh, about the. Oh. Okay, so who? So Kimberly and Gloria, would you be okay with making that amendment?
Yeah, the overhead developer amount, the 480,000 was left out in the original calculation. So when you add that in, there's an adjustment. It's shown in the budget items, so it's not anything new.
Chair, you don't need to make an amendment to the motion. You can just note, we can note that there's a edit in the write-up.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody have any questions regarding the note? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So moving on to item 3B. I'm not, I guess if there's anybody that wants to provide public testimony, let me know. But as far as I know, there wasn't anyone that signed up, so I'm just going to continue. So item 3B is to approve resolution 160, authorizing the issuance of Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bonds for the Kokua project located in Honolulu, Oahu, TMK 121-010-052-053 portion of. Can I get a motion, please? Thanks. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Gloria.
Good morning. The subject for action requests authorization to issue Hula May multifamily bonds through the adoption of resolution number 160 for the benefit of the Kokua project. The project will be a newly constructed 224-unit rental facility for family households at or below 30 and 60% AMGI in downtown Honolulu on the island of Oahu. Improvements consist of one 20-story building, type 1A construction with concrete foundations, columns and floors, and concrete shear walls at the stair towers. On January 10, 2019, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved an intended tax-exempt issuance up to approximately $45.9 million from the Hula May multifamily bond program and up to approximately $2.4 million in annual federal 4% LIHTC for 10 years and annual state LIHTC for 5 years, and a rental housing revolving fund loan up to approximately $35.8 million. On May 13, 2021, the HHFDC Board of Directors approved an increase of the intended tax-exempt issuance amount up to approximately $53.3 million and an increase in the annual federal and state 4% LIHTC up to approximately $3.1 million. The project structured the Hula May multifamily bonds as a private placement with Citicorp USA, and the project expects bond issuance to fund over 50% of its anticipated basis, allowing for a maximum of 4% LIHTC equity. The updated proposed financing structure and budget can be found on pages 4 and 5 of the for action. Exhibit C provides the comparison tables on the project budget and financing changes. The net $2.77 million budget decrease was attributable to lower construction costs and financing and syndication costs, offset by increased project reserves. As part of the bond process, the Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act requires HHFDC to conduct a public hearing addressing the issuance of tax-exempt bonds for affordable housing projects prior to bond issuance. We conducted the first TEFRA hearing on April 17, 2019. We received oral and written testimony from 6 members of the public who attended the hearing, All testimony was in support of issuance of tax-exempt bonds for affordable housing. We conducted a second TEFRA on June 4, 2021 to address the increase in the amount of the issuance of tax-exempt bonds. No testimony was received. Documentation and due diligence are essentially complete. Staff recommends adoption of Resolution 160, which authorizes the issuance, sale, and delivery of Hula May multifamily bonds to support the construction of the Kukua project. Staff is available for questions as well as members of the development team.
All right, thank you. Excuse me, is there any questions from the board?
Yes, Chair. I have the same question. Does this project have its building permit approval, and is it still on schedule to begin construction in September of
Yes.
2021?
They got their building permits, and as long as we close as scheduled, they'll be ready to start.
Awesome. All right.
If I may, on behalf of the developer, I just wanted to recognize HHFDC staff, Ms. Isir Matsubara and Jocelyn, for their amazing collaborative effort. This has been a very difficult project, to say the least, but we are getting through the finish line because they were team members. I also want to recognize DPP, Mr. Dinuchida, and his leadership and his team. There were many hoops that was jumped through by everybody to make sure we stay on track. And I think it's important as we push every day to take a moment and recognize and thank everybody for their collaborative spirit and getting us to where we are today. We are prepared to start, as Jocelyn said, as soon as this closes. There's obviously the notice to proceed issued by HHFDC, but our general contractor, Hawaiian Dredging, is ready to go. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for your consideration today.
Awesome. Thank you for those comments. Yeah, it's definitely a collaborative effort, and thank you for that. Any other comments? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so item 3C, this is it's not for action, it's for information, and this is to update on the villages of Laiali'i in Lahaina, Maui, TMK 245-021, 003, 013, 018, 019, 020, 021, 022 portion of, 023 portion of, 041, and 245, 028, 070, and 081, and 245, 036, 001 to 112.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Stan, we can.
Good, thank you. Stan Fujimoto, HHFDC Project Manager. I'm gonna share my screen. Essa, can I share my screen?
Yeah.
HHFDC is the master developer of the 1,100-acre Villages of Leali Master Plan Community in Lahaina, Maui. The land was reclassified urban by the Land Use Commission in 1990. HHFDC acquired approximately 544 acres below the bypass highway from DLNR in 1994. This is the bypass highway. This is Honopilani Highway. This is the Lahaina Civic Center. The area we acquired was this area in dark brown, and the area around the Lahaina bypass, Lahaina Civic Center, which is this general area. This general area up to here as well as this brown area. HHFDC paid approximately $8.4 million to DHHL. DHHL endorsed the check and paid it back to HHFDC for HHFDC's Keystone property, now DHHL's Princess Kahanu Estates project. HHFDC also tendered approximately $5.6 million to OHA, but OHA refused the check, and this triggered the ceded land litigation. The ceded lands litigation was resolved in 2009 after legislation was passed requiring 2/3 vote approval of both houses of the legislature to convey land owned by the state to third parties. In 2005, HHFDC conveyed approximately 72 acres of villages 1A and 1B to DHHL. This is village 1A and this is village 1B. DHHL completed development of 104 homes at village 1A in 2007 and is currently working on development village 1B. HHFDC completed a new final EIS in 2012. The area of the EIS is shown as phases A and phase B, which is the colored area. The colored area was included in the EIS. In 2018, HHFDC
Hey, Sven?
issued, yes.
Can you hang on, please? Essa, did the recording stop? Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Thank you. Yeah, no. In 2018, HHFDC issued a 65-year ground lease to the county at $1 a year for approximately 20 acres next to the Lahaina Civic Center for additional parking and a base yard. So this is the area we ground leased to the county next to the Lahaina Civic Center for additional parking and the base yard. As a background, this is the Lahaina Civic Center is where the county holds their annual Maui Invitational Basketball Tournament, which is pretty popular. So every year they need additional space for parking. HHFDC has been giving them a right of entry to this land until the county asked for the ground lease, and we gave the county the ground lease. So this is an aerial view of the area. The land comes all the way up to this half of the old Wahikuli Reservoir. It comes up to this gulch, and I think it's around here. It shoots down to Honopiilani Highway. This is the Lahaina Civic Center. This is the view looking towards Kanapali. This is one of the concepts in the EIS, concept 2. In 2020, HHFDC dedicated approximately 21 acres to DOT for the Kiawe Street extension and a portion of phase 1A of the bypass highway. So this is the phase 1A of the bypass highway, and this is the Kiawe Street extension. In 2020, we dedicated this portion to DOT. In January 2019, after an RFP process, the HHFDC board approved the proposal submitted by Ika Ika Ohana for the proposed 200-unit Kaiaulu o Kukuia family rental project on 28.5 acres north of Kiawe Street extension at the villages of Leali. So this is the project area, approximate project area for the proposed Kaiaulu or Kukuia project on 28.5 acres. This is the land area for the project, looking towards the bypass highway and Calvary Street extension. This is Calvary Street extension, and this is the project area. I don't know if you can see it, but it consists of two rock piles, one large rock pile and a smaller rock pile. This is another view from the bypass highway and the Calvary Street extension. The proposed access road will be right about where the car is. As you can see, there's a great difference between the Calvary Street extension and the project site. This is the project site plan for the project. One public access road on the north side, on the east side, mountain side. One and two entries, one circular on-site roadway. There's two community buildings, one right at the entry, a larger one, and a smaller one towards the back. There's 25 two-story buildings. This is just a concept of the project, two-story buildings. The developer is working. This is the status of the project. We just received SHPD approval of the archaeological monitoring plan last week. So the developer needs HHFDC board approval of the tax credits and rental housing revolving fund financing. And he's working on building permits. Since we got the SHPD approval, we're hopeful that the permits should be finalized. They're targeting commencement of construction in early 2022 and completion approximately 2 years after that. This is the status of the Villages of Leali project. In 2012, the county approved 245 acres below the bypass highway for development of 1,200 units in the urban growth boundary of the Maui Island Plan. So this is the urban growth boundary. I don't know if you can see it. This orange line comes down to the top of Village 1B, then it comes up towards the bypass highway, follows the bypass highway, cuts across, and basically goes on the other side of Kahoma Stream. So this area is urban. Maui County Council is currently reviewing the West Maui Community Plan, which designates the area proposed for the Kukuia project and a little north to the Wahikuli Road as residential, and the balance of the area in the urban growth boundary as agriculture. So this is the Villages of Leali area. This is the bypass highway approximately. This is the urban growth boundary line. As you can see, the proposed residential basically is limited to the area of the Kukuia project. The balance is designated agriculture. Going back, the area of the Kukuia project was identified by this 130-foot elevation water service line, the Board of Water Supply Service line, based upon their existing Wahikuli Reservoir, which is right here. So this boundary appears to follow that 130-foot elevation line. This is the based upon the processing of the Kukuia project this is the challenges we see for the next project at Leali'i. Water availability, like the Kaiaulu o Kukuia project. If the board of water supply has water, HHFDC could pay DWS a reservation deposit for water for a 100% affordable project. HHFDC has also entered into an MOU with DHHL for the joint development of DHHL's Honokowai well and ancillary water facilities for DHHL and HHFDC projects at the villages of Leali'i. DHHL has obtained an EIS determination that the portion of the facilities at the villages of Leali'i, which includes a new reservoir, Maukau Village 1B, a water pump at Wahikuli Reservoir, and connecting transmission lines are covered by HHFDC's final EIS. DHHL continues to work on an EA for the Honokowai well and transmission line to the Board of Water Supply's Mahinahina treatment facility, as well as a pump station by the Lahaina Civic Center. The new reservoir, Maukau Village 1B, will expand the Board of Water Supply service area at Leali'i. So going back to this map, DHHL is working on a new reservoir approximately in this location. This reservoir supposedly will increase this elevation line Father Mauka, so it'll increase the project area eligible for service, as well as service the DHHL's Village 1B project. So getting back to the challenges, there's also the requirement that there's a requirement for the development and maintenance of a new private wastewater treatment plant at the villages of Leali'i. When we, during the development of the Kukuia project, we signed a sewer agreement in order to hook up the Kukuia project to the county facility, county sewer system. In that agreement, the agreement says when the next project at Leali'i is developed, a new wastewater treatment plant needs to be built for Leali'i, for the new project, and the Kukuia project needs to be disconnected from the county system and reconnected to the private treatment plant at Leali'i. There's also a mitigation of previously identified historic properties and consultation with the SHPD on EIS requirements for future project on a project-by-project basis. During the LUC reclassification process, historic properties were identified, and there was a requirement for mitigation plan that has not been completed, so we need to complete that. The next project could also be a trigger for the new Miko substation. The next project could also trigger an update of the master plan with the Land Use Commission. Basically, the master plan that was approved by the Land Use Commission for the reclassification included a golf course. The latest master plan EIS in 2012 eliminated the golf course. So there's an inconsistency, and eventually when project is developed, there will be increasing pressure to make the master plan with the LUC consistent with what actually is desired. And there's also a potential trigger for usable land for elementary school facilities and an educational contribution agreement with DOE. This is also a Land Use Commission condition. I can go back and basically show you There is a MECO substation site. We have master planned that we don't know when that will be triggered. There's 2 elementary school sites in the property shown in blue. And I guess that's it, Dean.
Yeah, Stan, thank you for the presentation. Good morning, Chairman and board members. Dean Minakami, Development Branch Chief. As Stan explained, there are challenges to developing the remainder of Leali'i. And on a broad level, it's important to know that there are challenges to implement the development model that was first conceived for Leali'i in the 1980s. You know, this model was that we would offer land at Leali'i to developers, would construct the necessary infrastructure such as roads, water, sewer, and drainage systems, and they would recoup their costs through fee simple sale of homes. And this is unlikely to be allowed now, given that the legislature must approve fee simple sale of land. And given that Leali'i is comprised entirely of ceded lands, it's unlikely that we could receive legislative approval to sell the lands in fee simple. Because of this, staff has been looking at options that would allow for development of affordable housing at Leali'i, and we would like to discuss these options with the board. But as this relates to negotiations related to the acquisition of public property, we would like to consult the board's attorney and discuss this in executive session. So Chairman, we would like you to consider a motion to go to executive session.
Before we do that, Chair Mende, could we ask, since we have DHHL present, their deputy Tyler Gomes, if he has any comments?
Are the comments in open session or in executive session?
In both. So
Oh,
if he has any comments he'd like to share with the board in open session.
Mahalo, Denise. So hello, everyone. Tyler Gomes, Deputy Director for the Department of Hawaiian Homelands. Also present with me is our Planning Program Administrator, Andrew Choi, and our Land Development Administrator, Stuart Matsunaga. We're happy to answer any questions either about the department's experience with 1A, its progress in 1B, the anticipated improvements to Honoapi'ilani Highway or the E Parkway, and or any additional opportunities based on what was just mentioned for the department to partner. There is an interest there. So in terms of being brief, we're happy to answer any questions you folks have.
Okay, thank you. So I guess to move into executive session, the board of directors of HHFDC anticipates convening an executive session pursuant to section 92.5A3 Hawaii Revised Statutes HRS to deliberate concerning the authority of persons designated by the board to negotiate the acquisition of public property or during the conduct of such negotiations at or section 92.5A4 HRS to consult with the board attorney on questions or issues regarding the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities as it relates to this matter. Can I get a motion to move into executive session, please?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Gloria and Kim. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
All right, we are in executive session.
Okay, hold on. Okay, we're back in.
Okay, is everybody back? I think Gloria dropped out. She said she had a meeting at 10 and that she'll be back when she's done. So she turned off her camera. That was a signal that so she stepped away. We still have quorum though, right? Yep. All right, so moving on to item 4, executive session. So this one is discussion on the state's private activity bond cap and the impact on the Hula May multifamily tax exempt revenue bond program. So Denise, we're going into executive session again, right? Okay, so the board of directors of the Hawaii HHFDC and the Development Corporation anticipates convening an executive session pursuant to section 92.5 A4 Hawaii revised statutes to consult with the board attorney on questions or issues regarding the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities as it relates to this matter. Can we get a motion to move into executive session, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Kim. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thanks, Gary. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in executive session. Thank you.
Hold on.
Is there any way you can move the camera?
I can
Just
just highlight.
I believe we're all back in.
Okay, so we are back in regular session. So I think the only thing we have left is item 5, overview by the ED. Yep.
Thank you. Good morning, board members. Thank you, Chair Mindy. I just wanted to go over, since the legislative session is over, share that we did get an infusion of $20 million in DERF funds and 25 million infusion in rental housing revolving funds, both for the second half of the biennium, and also the CIP appropriation in the first half of the biennium of $40 million in rental housing revolving funds for the School Street project. Besides the infusion of funds, I did want to let you all know that we are actively engaged in the planning and programming for the Homeowners Assistance Fund. This is federal relief funds in the American Rescue Plan Act. And I'm so glad that Janice is joining us, because she can give you a little bit more detail on where we're at. HFDs across the nation are actively engaged in administering both the rent relief and the homeowners assistance fund program. We have chosen to partner with the counties. They are much closer to the communities, and we plan to use the existing structure in place for the rent relief program. So Janice.
Morning, members of the board. I think Denise pretty much summarized where we are. I think the Treasury does have the portal open and the plan template, which looks very different from the plan that you folks saw, the draft plan that you saw. But we are working to get the half plan submitted by the 20th. In fact, a little bit earlier than that, yeah.
Okay, so that's a total of 50 million in funds. If you take out the admin dollars, it's more like 42.5 million or so. So far, your hero has identified the need to be like 17,000 households that are either in forbearance or delinquent. The funds that we have allocated stretch only as far as anywhere from 1,400 to maybe 8,000 households. It's really going to be a key as to how the financial counseling agencies can ration out the funds and help homeowners with their loss mitigation strategies. So it's important work for our community. We have been getting calls from folks that are about to lose their homes. And there just has been very little assistance for homeowners. A lot of assistance for rent, 350 million to Hawaii for rent in total, 50 million for home ownership. So I think our single family, programs have been dormant here at HHFDC, but there may be some opportunity now to help the community. We may have to take a look at that. So that's all I have for my report, and happy to entertain any questions from the board.
All right, thanks, Denise. Any questions or comments from the board? No? All right. Moving on to item number 6. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Don't be too excited. Thank you. Get a second.
Thanks, everybody. Nice seeing you all.
Thanks, Rona. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.